All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to do our daily Bitcoin and Bitcoin miner update. So we cover this stuff all the time on the channel. So if you're new to the channel, or if you just have not yet subscribed, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, that helps out the channel a lot. So I appreciate it. And lastly, you will see in the pinned comment, there's a link to our free Discord. So we mostly talk about cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin miners over there. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, again, it's free. And we talk about a lot more stuff over there, than I get a chance to talk about on the channel. I want to have a Bitcoin update today because something's going on right now as we speak. We're hanging around and potentially crossing a very important line of support. So I want to look at the Bitcoin miners big board, and it was mostly red, you'll see. Then I want to take a look at a few Bitcoin charts and see where we may be going, because again, we're at an inflection point as usual lately. So I want to take a closer look at that and figure out some potential lines of support. In addition to that, we'll take a look at a few Bitcoin miners in particular. So let's start out with the big board. So you'll see this is almost completely red. As always, there seems to be one outlier. Stronghold was up 0.6% today, so just barely green. Everything else was red, and everything else was pretty deep red. 6, 7, 8, 9% was pretty typical. So you'll see RIOT was down 9.6%. Marathon was down 6.5%. Core Scientific was down 7%. Bitfarms was down 5.7%. So I could go down the list, but it's a lot of 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s. So it was a very down day, and Bitcoin was down today most of the day. Bitcoin was down about 4% today, and we closed at the lows on the day. So this board is not really a big shocker. This is very proportionate with the activity in Bitcoin today. So that's what I really want to get to. Let's look at what's happening with Bitcoin, because it is really fighting a battle right now, and we may find out tonight which direction that we're going in. This is Bitcoin on the 15-minute time frame. So again, this is a close-up view. This is 15-minute candles. As always, there's an orange line where we closed the markets yesterday. So Bitcoin was trading at about 20,863 when the market closed yesterday. You'll see since then we went sideways a little bit, and then we've been below that ever since. We tested that number just after the market opened this morning. So the Bitcoin miners really peaked very early in the morning. They were mostly green, and as you can see, we finished the day pretty deeply red, and that is because of this right here. It was basically, once we tested that line, it was down in a straight line, and this line at 20,000 caught us as support. So that was very important. You can see we tested that line over here in the middle of the night. We tested it again around noon Eastern time today. And then this red candle right here was the closing candle on the day. So we actually tested this right as the market closed. So we finished on the lows on the day. However, we had the first 15-minute candle close below 20,000 in several days. There was one day where the entire daily candle closed below 20,000. Since then, we've recovered above it and we've stayed above it. So again, this is a super close up. I wouldn't take too much away from a 15-minute candle closing below this. If we see a 4-hour candle or a daily candle closing below this again, then we're going to need to start looking at some other lines of support below this. As you can see, we have two green 15-minute candles right after this. We seem to be heading back up towards this line, so we're going to see what happens at 20,000. Is this going to remain support, or is this going to turn into resistance? By the time you watch this video, you may have a little bit more of the answer to that. Okay, so here we are on the 4-hour time frame. It basically shows the same picture. You can see that for several days now, this goes back to June 19th, we've just been trading right on this line at 20,000, candle after candle. We had a little bit of a run up in the middle, right back down to the $20,000 line, and then every candle since then. Let's go to the daily time frame, because I think this shows a little bit of a better picture. This green line right here is the 200-week moving average. Bitcoin has only ever gone below this line 3 times in its history, including this time. One other time, it did touch the 200-week moving average. The other 2 times it went below the 200-week moving average, it had a 30% pullback from there. So we'll take a look at that on the next chart. So that's going to be one of our potential lines of support if it looks like we're not going to hold the $20,000 mark, and it is too soon to tell. Again, we're right on the line right now. We're at 19,895 as we speak. So we're hanging out right there. So I had said yesterday that I thought we were going to pretty much be stuck between this $20,000 as a line of support and this 200-day moving average at about 22,500 as a line of resistance. The only two times we ever went below this, within a month we had returned back above the 200-week moving average, and that became a line of support again. So we've never really spent a significant amount of time below this. Now we're just about 1 week into being below this right now. So if history holds, and again, there's only 2 examples of this, unfortunately, so that's not a big sample group. The last 2 times we fairly quickly recovered, got above the 200-week moving average, and then actually both of those times we had a massive run up in Bitcoin. Both of those times the run up was over 300% in about a 6 or 7 month window of time. I'm not predicting that's going to happen right now. I'm just saying that's what happened the last 2 times. So the RSI I'm not going to look at. It's basically stuck in the mud, and the MACD, as you can see, we continue to move further on the histogram towards even, and the lines continue to get closer to a potential bullish cross on the MACD. So I've drawn 2 circles. This area right here that we are currently in looks very much like the area from the beginning of May to the beginning of June, and that did end up leading to a bullish crossover on the MACD, and it led to this entire period of green on the histogram. Typically we would have a big run up when the histogram is green like this. However, the RSI got stalled out at about 50, and our big run-ups tend to happen, as you know, I say good things happen over 50 on the daily RSI, so we didn't really get over 50. We tested it twice, we failed both times. So even though we had a nice long run of green on the histogram, we traded within a very tight range, and that's this whole time period right here. We were holding 28.8 as a floor and about 33,000 as a ceiling, so that was a tight range that we traded in for the better part of a month. This has a very similar feel to it. However, we will have to hold this line at 20,000 if we hope to have this same pattern play out over time. Okay, the last graph I want to look at is this is Bitcoin on the 1 month time frame. So once again, this is the 200-week moving average. So you can see this monthly candle is a giant red candle. At the moment, we're right at this $20,000 mark. We're at 19,891, and technically that's actually above the line. We really haven't broken the line because this line represents the peak of the previous cycle, which was about 4.5 years ago. And although I've drawn the line at 20,000, it's actually at about 19,700. So we are sitting right at this line right now. I just measured from the 200-week moving average down to this purple line that I made. There's your 30%. So if we were to do what Bitcoin did the only 2 other times it crossed the 200-week moving average, this is a 30% pullback. That would bring us to about $15,700. So if we cannot hold this line at 20,000, then I would say this is our next line of support. And again, the only 2 other times this happened in the history of Bitcoin, it bounced off of this and ran straight back up to the 200-week moving average and then went on a giant run up from there. So there's no guarantee that any of that's going to happen, but that is what happened the last 2 times. So that's what I'll be looking for. To the downside, I'll be looking for some support at 15,700 if we do not hold this line. To the upside, I will be looking to see if we can cross back over the 200-week moving average. So that's about at 22,500. So if we can cross back over that and reestablish that as support, maybe we can have a little bit of a bull run. But in the meantime, as I talked about yesterday, I do feel like we are probably stuck between 20,000 and 22,500 for the next several weeks anyway. Okay, let's look at a Bitcoin miner in specific. This is Marathon, and I know Marathon has a lot of other issues going on with it, but all of these charts look very similar. Particularly Marathon and Riot's charts seem to mirror each other, although their performance is a little bit different, no doubt. So if you want to know more about that, you can check out, I've done a deep dive on each of those. Otherwise, these charts are fairly similar. I looked at Riot's chart yesterday, so today I want to take a look at Marathon's. And you're going to see it's very much of the same thing. Almost every single one of these Bitcoin miners hit their 52-week low last week. So that is also true of Marathon. We are near that low, but we have not gotten back to that low this week. Some of the Bitcoin miners have taken out that low and made a new 52-week low. So pretty much all 17 of the Bitcoin miners that I follow are somewhere very near their 52-week low or at their 52-week low. And Marathon is no exception. I'm just going to look at a couple of potential price targets here. The first one is if we go back to May 31st. So that's about 3 weeks ago. Now at that time, Bitcoin was trading around that 28.8 line. So, that is up significantly from where it is right now. But again, that was just 3 weeks ago. And we just crossed through that line about 12 days ago. So you can see if we can just get healthy, if Bitcoin can get healthy enough sometime in the next 30, 60, 90 days and get back above that 28.8 line that had held for a year and a half. So if we can just trace back to where we were trading on May 31st, which was just 3 weeks ago, that would be a 65% increase in the price of Marathon. If I go back to May 4th, so that is less than 2 months ago. That's about 1 month and 3 weeks ago. That would be a 165% increase if Marathon was able to get back to the price that it was trading on May 4th. So again, Bitcoin was a bunch higher at that point. So I would expect that Bitcoin would have to get back into the mid 30,000s in order for Marathon. And a couple of things would have to happen to reach this price target. The first thing is Marathon would have to start having better operational updates. Now, most of the other Bitcoin miner charts look like this. So the Bitcoin miners that you like, that you think are operating on a higher level, for those companies, if they continue to have good operational reports, and if Bitcoin can get a little bit healthy, and in this instance, I'm referring to maybe 35,000, then I do think you're looking at a potential 165% price increase here in Marathon. And a lot of these other charts are very much the same. So I'm not going to go through any more charts because this is a pretty fair representation of what's going on with all 17 of the companies that I look at. So we don't know where Bitcoin's going. We don't know how long it's going to take to get back to the mid 30,000s. I expect that to happen long before the end of the year, but again, I don't know. This is not financial advice, so please do your own due diligence and don't rely on any of my assumptions. I'm just looking at the charts. So if you believe Bitcoin's going to get healthy, if you believe we're going to get back to 30 or 35,000 or maybe even beyond that, then there's the chance to get 165% run up here. And if we get back to 40 or 50,000, there's the chance to go significantly higher than that. I'm not even going to look at that price target yet. First things first, let's see if we can hold the $20,000 line of support before we get too excited here. So I'm going to finish up on the 15-minute time frame. You'll see we did go up and touch in this 15-minute candle. We got up to 19,988. So we got right up to this line. We're still a little bit below it. So we are hanging out in this neighborhood. We're going to have to see where we go from here. Can we hold this line and stay inside of this trading range? That's what I'll have my eye on. And I think that's what will dictate the price of the Bitcoin miners for the most part in the short term. Can we hold this line at 20,000 or are we going to go down and test some points lower than that? So that's all I've got for you on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners today. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. And again, thanks for watching the video and we will see you in the next one.